Good evening, friends. My name is Katie Joyner, and I'm so happy to be joining you tonight here in this Living Well group for us to discuss a lot of natural health topics that are quite near and dear to my heart. And so, when we were first discussing topics that we felt would be so valuable to our friends and our family members outside of essential oils, of course, then one of the things that came to mind was activated charcoal. I will tell you that although activated charcoal is something that I have been teaching on, goodness, for years and years, it's always been in an exceptionally informal manner because it's just been something that our family has relied upon since the beginning of time. Truly, it's crazy to think about, but activated charcoal is something that my mother used on me when I was little. So, my sisters have used it on their children, and I guess it's just so second nature for us in our family that I almost feel uncomfortable talking about it because to me it's just something that is not very formal, I guess, in my mind. Every time I've taught on it, it's been through friends calling me on the telephone or texting or sending me a private message and saying, do you think that this thing really works? I saw on Pinterest where you could benefit from activated charcoal. Does it work? Have you ever heard of this? This may be crazy. I've even had friends who have messaged me in dire need, and I've said, you need activated charcoal. And then they say, no, I'm terrified. I refuse to try it. And so I want to more or less just share my thoughts with you on activated charcoal. I tell you that I'm not a doctor. I have a lot of years of experience of it on myself and on all of our family members, but I don't even know the science behind some of it. So some of you may be even more informed than I am. So I'm truly just speaking from the heart. And if you have any concerns about something that I say, then either go ask your medical practitioner or go with your mama gut. I mean, your mama gut is an exceptionally reliable God-given mechanism, and I would just love to empower you to rely on it because it is a beautiful thing. I am here on the family farm. My husband is bush hogging a pasture behind us, and I have two rowdy dogs that just won't quit barking in their pen behind me. So my apologies. I wish that I could tell you it's a beautiful day here on the farm, but I think we've got some impending rain, and so it's getting a little dark and cloudy, and this was the time that I had set aside to speak with you all. So I made a lot of notes because I am so much more familiar and comfortable, I guess you could say, with teaching publicly on essential oils that a lot of times I don't even have notes for those presentations. But this was just something that, like I said, I'm not used to it being a formal talk on. So hang in here with me as I check my notes a lot just to make sure that I'm covering my bases. So, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of things that activated charcoal is used for, but keep in the back of your mind that I specifically am going to be discussing how you can use activated charcoal to prevent the stomach bug, particularly in regards to it spreading throughout your whole entire family. So that's kind of the direction that I'm taking with it, although it has multiple other natural health benefits as well. So, if you're in the medical profession, then you're probably familiar with activated charcoal because it's used frequently in emergency type situations to prevent an overdose or a poisoning. So, if you have someone who is in dire straits and they either on accident or intentionally have overdosed on prescription or over-the-counter painkillers, either one, and they go to the ER, for example, then activated charcoal is going to be one of the things that they're going to utilize in the ER to remove the toxins from their system. So activated charcoal does exactly that. it absorbs toxins within the system. It binds to them. It does not break them down, anything like that. It goes in and it binds to the toxins and causes you to be able to flush those toxins from your system without a high absorption rate, like in your bloodstream or being processed in your body systems, okay? So, a couple of things that I have to say up front. I have personally used activated charcoal on 1 or 2 occasions throughout my pregnancies. There is not a large amount of research out there backing up whether or not activated charcoal is safe to use in pregnancy. So I want you to research that more and make an informed decision if you're pregnant, or later down the road if you become pregnant and you feel as though you might be in a situation where you would typically use activated charcoal. You do your research on that and decide whether or not you are comfortable using it. It was something that, given the situation that I was in, I used it at the time, but it's not to say it's something that I would do repeatedly because there's just not a lot of research out there. Then also, we always get asked the questions in natural health: are there drug interactions, or is there a contradiction with medicine? So just so that you know, because we take activated charcoal to bind to toxins and flush them quickly out of our system, then yes, if you are taking blood pressure medication, my mouth quit working. If you're taking blood pressure medication or whatever form of over-the-counter or prescription medication, either one, those are chemicals, and so the activated charcoal is going to bind to it and flush it. So it would either reduce the strength of the dosage that you're taking, or it would entirely eliminate it altogether. So if you're taking, incredibly important medicines that you can't miss out on, then you cannot combine them with activated charcoal. Okay? So those are kind of my heads up and my warnings. Oh, I do have one other one. I also read, this has never really been something that I've had to consider, but I wanted to do as much research as possible. And the research that I read said not to combine activated charcoal if you are on a medication for constipation. So apparently there's some form of danger there. So if we're trying to flush something out of our system, then water is so incredibly important. And it is just one more thing that you are not going to benefit as greatly from if you don't include a lot of water, okay? So in order to get the maximum benefit, whether it's you or children, either one, it's so incredibly important that your fluid intake is really, really high when you're doing activated charcoal. Activated charcoal is not a long-term use product. It's not something that you are going to use for days on end. You wouldn't even use it for a month, for that matter. I mean, typically, if our family feels as though we've been exposed to a stomach bug, like with direct contact with somebody who, they called us 3 hours later to say, oh, I'm sorry, you were on that play date, and then when we got home, they started throwing up. So if you've been exposed in that manner, or if one of us in our family of 5 does get sick and we feel as though the stomach bug is a concern, then the rest of us will go on it as well. So in those type situations, the most we would ever be on it is 3 to 4 days. I can't think of any time where we've ever had to be on it for more than 4 days at a time. Okay, so activated charcoal is not something that is naturally found in foods. A part of embracing natural health is so many times when we look at a supplement that someone is trying to sell us, we say, well, if I could get that supplement in its most natural form, like in food, then that would be the most incredible benefit to my body. Yes, absolutely. Activated charcoal is not something you're going to naturally find in foods. Okay, so when you use activated charcoal, a change in your stool is entirely normal. So a good quality charcoal is probably going to turn your stool black, and most commonly it will loosen your stool, although honestly, if we're talking about using it in regards to a stomach bug, it's kind of hard to say whether or not that is stomach bug related or whether or not it's activated charcoal. There were a few people online who said that constipation was a concern. I can't say that we've ever had that be a problem, but just know that a change in your stool for a few days while it's flushing your system is entirely normal. Obviously, if you do fear the stomach bug and you really increase your water intake too to flush it out, then it would be kind of normal for your stool to be loose in that kind of situation too. It's natural health care. I'm sorry we have to talk bowel movements. Like, that's just normal here. Get comfortable with it, because bowel movement discussions, friends, they're just a part of natural health. Okay, so quality matters. As with anything that we talk about taking in the body, quality of your charcoal is so incredibly important. Now, friends, this is something that I kind of took for granted because I grew up in a family that entirely embraced natural health. Honestly, my mom will be cracking up when I tell her that I shot a video on activated charcoal, because I think I was probably around the age of 8 when I went through like a half-day seminar with her on all the uses of activated charcoal, because she used to take me to the herbologist on Saturdays, and they would host natural health seminars, and they would be about a half a day long. And I went and sat with her, and I took this phenomenal course on activated charcoal, and I kid you not, to this day, I still remember a lot of that information. So I'll just throw that little tidbit out there that, share this information with your kids, because it will be so beneficial to them down the road. A lot of things I learned in that class I use on our animals all the time. Okay, so quality matters, and the reason I say that is because since I grew up in a natural health household, we had an herbologist. We visited the herb store all the time. Then, we were buying all of our supplements from a quality health food store that understood that artificial dyes and artificial sweeteners do not have any place in a supplement that we are going to put in our body, okay? So, for the majority of my adult life, I have always purchased my charcoal through either like a Facet on Amazon, where I could be assured it was a brand I was familiar with, or I bought it from a health food store. And then flash forward to last year, I believe it was last winter, when for some crazy reason I had run out of activated charcoal when we had the signs of the stomach bug present themselves, and I was in a panic. And my mom lives in another state, and she was on the phone going, "Get to the store now and get activated charcoal." Well, it was after hours for the health food store, so we went to Walmart, and I was furious, y'all. In Walmart, I was like, why do we have artificial dyes in activated charcoal? And that is the only brand that Walmart, I went to CVS, and I went to Walgreens. So I'm here in the South. I'm in North Alabama. That's all I could find. I kept going from drugstore to drugstore looking, and they all only had this one brand. I kid you not. Artificial dyes. You took the capsules out, and they were pink. Guys, what color should activated charcoal be? It's charcoal. It's black. Okay? In its natural form, it's black. It was like fuchsia, pink. Now, in that case, I was really, really desperate, and so I bought it, and I'm still angry to this day because I took just enough to get us over the hump, and I never used the rest of it. I threw it away, and I ordered the good stuff online. So, I'm saying that to say, don't wait until you're in a dire emergency. You need to get your hands on good quality activated charcoal right now to have on hands, especially going through the fall and the winter when we know that the stomach flu and the stomach bug are so incredibly common, okay? So I'm going to rattle off a few things that all of the natural health sites talk about, and then we're going to get back to that tummy bug thing. So a teeth whitener, which it does work. I've brushed my teeth in activated charcoal for a really, really long time. until I learned about how incredible the Thieves Aroma Bright toothpaste from Young Living, in addition to orange essential oil together. If you use those two, it's like dynamite for a teeth whitener. So I haven't used charcoal quite as much. Charcoal is a little bit more messy to brush your teeth with. But it does work. And so if you're in a situation where you feel like you have strong stains on your teeth, you might research it because it's pretty good. I do know of people who have used activated charcoal for gas and bloating. Again, I have an essential oil. I use Digest for gas and bloating most commonly. I also use digestive enzymes, which are incredible for like a consistent maintenance for your body to prevent gas and bloating. Y'all, what's up? Okay, so then I found it so interesting in my research that mold poisoning in our homes is sadly so incredibly common. If you fear as though you've had a damp house that you've lived in, if you've had to work in a basement, if your kids have had to, honestly, y'all, I went to an elementary school that my classrooms were in the basement for a really extended period of time, and I really struggled with respiratory concerns during that time. And then when I promoted up and moved to a new school, they closed that one and condemned it because it had so much moisture in it. Mold in houses, businesses, everything, it's just incredibly common. And so it turns out that activated charcoal is a really, really good thing for pulling mold poisoning out of the body. That's something that is a whole entirely different discussion, and you guys are welcome to research that more because it's a pretty easy thing to research. You want activated charcoal on hands at all times, not just because you never know when a stomach bug is going to present itself, but for first aid uses. We always have activated charcoal on our farm, and it was the exact same way growing up. You can use activated charcoal to make a poultice over a wound on an injured horse, cow, dog, cat, whatever, because it will bind and pull any toxins out. So it is excellent at preventing infection in animals and humans alike. Okay, I could do a whole entire class on how you make herbal poultices and how you could use activated charcoal in that type situation. If you hike, or if you live where you have the fear of your dog getting a snake bite or something, keep activated charcoal on hand, because if you got a snake bite or your dog gets a snake bite, I've honestly had it happen before to a dog, you can open the activated charcoal capsules over the wound and let it sit for a little bit and then flush it out, and it will do the exact same thing. It will adhere itself to the venom, and it, honest to goodness, can save a life. Okay, so it's excellent for all sorts of things, for skin health, just the same way it would work for a snake bite or on a wound. It would work for other forms of bites and injuries on the body. It is actually really good immune system support, because if you're doing any kind of a cleanse that in turn is going to boost the immune system, then obviously the goal is to flush toxins. And then it may reduce cholesterol. Y'all, I don't have any experience there, but I read it on site after site after site that it could reduce cholesterol. I don't know how that would work for many of you, because that would mean you would have to go off of your existing cholesterol drug if you're on one, and yeah, I don't know. That's a whole big ball of worms for me. Just know that multiple natural health sites that it was working to reduce cholesterol. Okay, so in regards to the tummy bug, if the goal is to eliminate toxins, then just think about that. When we take an activated charcoal, it's going to go in, it's going to bind itself to the bacteria in your system that either is already causing the stomach discomfort or may cause stomach discomfort, okay? So a couple of things. The goal is to get activated charcoal in the minute you suspicion the stomach virus, okay? Because if you're to the point where you're already vomiting every 20 minutes, it's going to be incredibly hard to get the activated charcoal down and keep it down. So keep that in mind with children, because if you've got a child who comes home from school and they're already in that repetitious cycle of vomiting, Don't give them activated charcoal and then put them on your white sofa and then private message me when they vomit activated charcoal on your white sofa. Okay? I'm sorry. I just have to be brutally honest there. So the goal is to get it in you fast. So with kids, my little kids, my kids that are, well, like Jonesy was 2 last year when he was having to take it to prevent the stomach bug, and Jonesy was early 2 when he was having to take it. I would do my very best to get 1 capsule in him. It's a very fine, powdery substance, and so this is my trick, y'all. For years, I've got 3 little ones. For years, y'all know in the Shrek movie when he squeezes out all that yucky stuff on his toothbrush and he's like brushing his teeth and it looks, it's like mud. Basically, he's put mud all in his mouth and he's cleaning. Okay, so we make what's called Shrek sludge. Okay, and so Shrek sludge is what I mix in our family. I take the activated charcoal capsule and I open it up in a little bowl with either peanut butter or almond butter. It just depends on the child, and I mix it really good, and it turns like it looks like black peanut butter, but it looks like sludge, and I say, isn't this awesome? And they eat it with a plastic spoon that we just throw away. Because cleanup on it is not the most fun thing ever, okay? But if you have kids and you and your spouse, y'all can just pop the capsules. That is ideal. So my little kids that have been in the like 30 to 50 pound range, I typically try to get 1 capsule in them at the first onset of symptoms, and then 4 hours later or so I try to get an additional capsule in them. I try to get like 2 capsules in them at least in the first day. Then in adults, I would say 4 to 6 capsules a day to begin with. I'm being incredibly conservative, I will say, with that, because honestly, there are times when as adults we have taken a lot more than that. My son, who is 8 now, I would say when he was 6 and 7, it was very common for him to already be at the point where he would take 4 activated charcoal a day if we felt as though we had the threat of getting the stomach bug. Okay, so activated charcoal, when you think about how you're going to have to get it in a kid who can't swallow a capsule, just know that it's odorless and it's tasteless. So it is truly one of the easiest things that you can possibly ever try to get in a kid, because you can put it in applesauce, you can put it in any kind of nut butter that works for them. I read where some parents would just mix it in water or juice and have them drink it with a straw, and I thought, well, goodness, that's like genius, because it's odorless and it's tasteless. So I would continue the activated charcoal typically for 2 to 4 days. About 3 is about the sweet spot. Because, it takes a while for those toxins to pass from one family member to the next family member. So you don't want to let your guard down and think that you're safe when, in fact, you may be re-exposed to somebody else in your social circle who has already picked up those toxins and is re-exposing you as well. That's always a concern. Okay, also, if you use essential oils, then keep using your essential oils. I mean, absolutely. You want to continue to do all of your traditional maintenance and system support type stuff that you would do in any other type situation. This does not take the place of those by any stretch of the imagination. But when it comes to preventing a stomach bug, I have never, ever, 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 ever found anything that comes close to comparison with working like activated charcoal. I really cannot sing the praises of it enough, and especially in situations, we ran a horse boarding facility for a number of years, and so we had a lot of animals on our property that we were responsible for, and repeatedly, while we were waiting on a vet to get there, which sometimes could be many hours, with large animals, we would always pack wounds in activated charcoal, and I just can't sing the praises of it enough. Y'all probably hearing one of my chickens in the back. I have some young chickens, and they're starting to get their voice now, and it's so funny. But I appreciate you all. I know that this was very, very long, and I know that it is a huge time investment for you, but at the same time, it's just something that I feel so passionate about because, guys, it works. Like, it works amazing. Okay? So many blessings to you along this journey. Do your research and make empowered decisions, friends. Y'all take care.